98.7 KISS FM, we've got The Beat at WRKS FM New York. Chuck Chill out providing it for you. I'm Jerry Young. We're commercial free. More music, less talk at 98.7 KISS FM.
You always hear about the Bronx. Hip-hop was born in the Bronx, and Brooklyn has their chapters in the hip-hop history. Queens always gets to be sort of forgotten. It's kind of mind-boggling that Queens would be forgotten at all. I mean, it's the birthplace of hip-hop supergroup Run DMC.
See, this is the family right here. This is Run DMC from the heart. This is our inspiration right here. This is the Hollis family. We call them the Hollis Queens. In case you wonder what all this means, we're funky fresh from Hollis Queens. Run NJ.
I mean, the aesthetic of Run DMC as Queens natives was created on the streets of their neighborhood. Some of the photographers that kind of captured the era of 1985, 86. That's what today is about for me, is finding these spots that captured my imagination and made me a hip-hop fan. There's murals, there's roads and streets named after all of them, so they're obviously quite proud of the fact that Run DMC emerged from this neighborhood.
Now I am from around the way, and we get down with no delay. Hey, I rock a party with the word I speak, and you see the rounds that are unique. And Jay cuts a record every day of the week, and we are the crew that can never be me.
So this one was a favorite picture of mine, and I never knew where it was. And I swore I was gonna get here someday. I kept looking up Hollis Grocery, because that's what it says in the picture. And it didn't match up, because there is another Hollis Grocery, and it's not called that anymore. But I zoomed in, and I found really close on in the picture, there's a 202 on the sign. And when I saw the 202, I typed in 202 Hollis or 210, 21. It's one of those number combinations. And as soon as I got the combination right on Google Maps, I looked, and the building is really what set it off. There's still a grocery store on the corner, but it's unmistakable. The facade of the building in the corner is almost unchanged. If I'm just shooting straight across the street, everything's going to be too flat, and it's more dramatic than that. The photographer was probably maybe down low in the street. All right, I think that's good. We're gonna go up to Bardwell, and I think where Bardwell and Colfax come together is where Jeanette Beckman took some famous photographs of Run DMC.
These guys all grew up in Hollis Queens, and Hollis was just a nice suburb, a nice place to bring up kids. And rap up until then had been kind of from the Bronx. They wrote in Sucker MC, "I'm light-skinned, I live in Queens, and I love eating chicken and collard greens," which, you know, that took a lot of courage. They were writing about Queens, and they got a lot of flack from the Bronx rappers who were a bit more hardcore.
She visited Hollis and took pictures of Run DMC and their neighborhood. Like she's archiving this particular moment. And when you see her pictures, it feels like she was part of the group.
I'm a king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To burn my kingdom, you must use fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire.
You know, we were discussing online where some of Jeanette's pictures took place. Hurricane said that one of Run DMC lived on Bardwell on this street. I got on Google Maps, started sort of, you know, quote, driving around, and I tried to match up some of the architecture. So there's this one tan house that has sort of almost like a barn roof to it. And it's a couple doors up from one that had two flat roofs. And once I realized that those were the ones in the background of Jeanette's photos, I kind of narrowed it down to being on this block, on this street. One of them lived on this street. I'm just not sure whether it was Run or Jam Master Jay. Jeanette Beckman captured this sort of moment in time that was the emergence of Run DMC on the street in front of the houses where they live. 2 windows on either side of the doors in the center. If I did my homework right, there used to be a really big tree where that younger tree is standing. That's where they're standing. I believe they're standing in the street right there. The 2 flat rooftops are right there. So she's down on the street. There's a little bit of space between the eave and the top of the roof next door. So I think they're right in the street here. Yeah, so right here. Yeah, that matches up. The chimney and the eave and the way that it overlaps with the roof next door. One of the reasons I came up here is to make sure that I'm sort of in the space that Jam Master Jay, Run, and Daryl made famous. And it's just, it's kind of otherworldly to be here after hearing about this area and this spot on the map for 30 years, 30 plus years, and all of a sudden I'm here.
What we used to do, we used to bring the turntables, bring all the records in here. We used to bust the light pole open, plug up our stuff, and we would play until the police would come and say, "What are you kids doing? You kids can't have a concert in the park without permits." They pulled the plug on us, and then we all go back home, but we was back there the next day.
There's no reason that I got up this morning super early to drive up here other than I love this. It's because I love this culture and I don't ever want it to go away. And I feel like cities change and places change and things get remodeled and things get knocked down. But right now, all this stuff is still here. Most of it is still here. The ones that we're gonna go find right now are sort of like mini white whales. I couldn't figure out where they were, and there's not a lot of information in the picture. And I managed to, just through a lot of trial and error, I found it. I knew it was near a bridge, so my guess, my best guess, is that that wall right there is that wall right here. Seeing this wider version of the picture where the vines end on that really straight edge, that straight edge is there. You can also see that there's still vines growing, that there's a bridge immediately to the right. This crack is still visible because they obviously painted it. It looks like this was repaired, this part of the wall was repaired with concrete, and that over the years the repair faltered and fell out of that, and I think that's also kind of confirmation that this is the right spot. And so I'm thrilled because I really didn't think I was going to be standing here in front of this. Yeah, that's definitely the right spot. All right, mission accomplished. Another one down. When I started looking at magazines back in the day and finding these pictures of Hollis Queens and Run DMC, it was because Glenn was here taking pictures of them on the street.
Hanging out in Hollis with them, the first time I went in Hollis and hung out for like 2 days, that was pretty great. That was just, we were in the neighborhood, I met the Hollis crew, and just, you know, and everyone just walked around the neighborhood, and they just told me all the sights and everything that was going on, and you could see it in the photo. You could tell that we're becoming family, you know, we're becoming good friends then.
There's a picture right here with that house in the background. So Glenn, sort of amazing in that he's been at the forefront of hip hop, skate culture, and punk culture. And it was sort of uncanny that he was there when these things were just happening. Most of the pictures that are in my mind's eye when I think of early Run DMC on the street, they were here. This building right here, there's some amazing pictures of them sitting on this stone wall. This is the building that I've seen in the background of so many of his iconic pictures of Run DMC. And this was brand new. They had just fixed this, this part of the wall, I guess, because it was really white. I feel like I'm time traveling a bit. I recognize these places and these sites, but from old magazines and old album covers, things that are over 30 years old now. I've seen some interviews with Daryl where around the back was where they honed their craft. They learned to rap. They would stand there for hours with the guys and the girls, and they would hang out in the alley behind this. I don't know that any of them lived here, but this is where they'd meet up. And certainly they had many photo shoots here with Glenn Friedman. So that's what I'm gonna try to figure out now. So let's try to get back there now while the door's open. This is it. This is where Run DMC learned how to rap.
This is the old alleyway right here. This is where we used to hang out back in 1978, 79.
These are some of my favorite pictures by Glenn. I just need to figure out exactly where they are. So where were they standing? Does that look right? I think that's right. See? Big window, big window, weird little outcropping. Do you see that? It wasn't about bells and whistles on the camera. It was about capturing their emergence. And again, I was this suburban kid 250 miles away, and I didn't know to even expect it all. So this one, look at this one. Where's there a door? I think that's it. See the wire going under the sill? It's still there. Things like the bricks above that door, I noticed them in the photo, so there's no question it's the right spot. Like, why are those 4 bricks kind of popping out, and why is that one diagonal? That chiseled, that like chipped brick is still there. So Glenn was like right here, I guess, right? See how big the railing looks there? So I think it's more like that. So I love that one. That's a great one. But this is where it all happened. I mean, it's an alley, and if there's trash and there's junk, and it's behind a building. But this is a really important place in hip hop history. It's pretty crazy. It's becoming more and more gentrified, and so much of what makes the neighborhood incredible and memorable is just disappearing. Usually I have my photograph on my iPad. In this case, I'm going right from the album. I try to like notice angles and notice where one thing ends and another thing begins, and the lines on the sidewalk for perspective. I try my best to be right where the photographer was if I can. So I'm guessing they were over here. They must have, they've definitely updated the building, but this is the spot. And I usually take a couple. This one's pretty straight on. This photograph right here, taken by Glenn Friedman on Jamaica Avenue. There's not a lot to go on. There's no address, there's no sign, so I didn't know where it was in the world. And then in my search, I happened upon this other picture from the same photo shoot, and with a little bit of just homework, these doors behind Run DMC are the same. It's the same photo shoot, all they did was slide back. But in this one, there's an address, 202, I think it's 20212 or 13. And then the detail on the above the door, just out of dumb luck, I was on Google Maps driving down this road virtually, and I saw the pattern on the building. of these little sort of Gothic arches that you see, and they're still there. They're where the glass windows are and where the door is. It's just that the garage door has been pulled down. So that crack is, see, there it is right there. Holy crap, that's it. We've gotten some really amazing spots today. This is relatively new. The photos aren't new. The archive isn't new, but the ability to mesh technology with the archive is a pretty new thing. It's so easy to travel up and down the East Coast and find some of these really important moments in hip-hop and places in hip-hop. This is like visiting Andy Warhol's factory or Studio 54. I guess we're like hip-hop archaeologists, like the Indiana Jones of hip-hop.